whenever you see an animation, whenever you see something you want to make, what goes on into your mind? How do you destructure everything?
Okay, so the first mechanics is actually, I still consider this kind of a magic because it used to be something impossible for me, even though I learned a lot of stuff now and I can do some things in Canvas in 3D, but I still perceive it as something magical. And when I stumble on a website which does something that I don't know how do they do that, immediately this mechanics start to work, and I'm like, I need to know, I need to experience this feeling.
Okay, so I just had a talk with the Yuri. I mean, yes, the Yuri. I mean, if you're a creative developer or like dwelling into being one, you already know him. He's one of the OGs. And like he started his front end around 2003, 4 and 3D development around 2017, 18. So yeah, he's one of the OGs of this. Okay, and it was such a good conversation. It was so informational, so inspirational, because in this we didn't just talk about tech stack. We talked about actual deep things like how does a developer turn into a creative one? Where do you actually get your inspiration from? What do you do when you get hit that, artist block? So yeah, we talked about a lot of things. I hope it will be helpful to you, and honestly, I had a lot of fun with this, like in this conversation. So, yeah, I'm hoping you will have some fun too. Okay. And yeah, if you like this, please drop a comment down below so, you know, even we get hype of it. So, yes, please do comment down below what you thought of that. And I hope you enjoyed the entire video. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of things. So, yes, without further ado, I will not make you wait any further. Let's dive right into it.
So just, I really want to know something about your journey. Like, how did you start everything and how did you get into this creative field?
Right. Well, it's been a long journey to be honest, because I started, I think, back in 2006, and I started by coding like HTML, CSS websites. But I think already at that point I realized that what I'm curious is about when you put some code and then you see the result immediately on the screen. But it took me some time to realize that. So I think first time I was always scared of the canvas thing, of anything people do with the canvas, because I used to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the websites, but not the canvas animations. And it was kind of scary because it was some special magical people who do that. So I never really was brave enough to do that until at some point, it was some specific period in my life. I think I was sad about something and something like that. And I decided this is the time that I should push myself to the edge and go into the things that I'm actually scared of doing. And I started to actually, when I look back in the first streams, it's such a simple things, like when I first did my just one shader and which just samples the texture, it was like a pure magic to me, because it's not JavaScript, it's not CSS, not HTML, it's something else. But then you can also see it in browser. So yeah, it started with the front-end development, but then at some point I was like too much into the front-end development and decided to try something new. And when I tried it, I loved it, and I'm still trying those new things until this day.
Yeah, it was definitely something. And I think you started like way back, since 3D wasn't even in the trend right now. Correct, because it is fairly new thing. People are right now discovering it. Like, okay, there is something called creative development, even though it has been here for a long time. Correct. I mean, you were literally one of the OGs of it.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who started way before me, because I used to do still like HTML, CSS stuff, and I started to do 3D back in 2018. But I think 3GS goes way back,
Yeah.
some, I don't know, 6-8 years before that. And a lot of people who actually started coding something with WebGL even before 3GS, so they just started with the bare shaders. So in my perspective, I'm actually kind of new to 3D, but it's been 8 years now, so I'm not sure anymore if I'm new.
Yeah, I mean, 8 years is a long time to like master anything.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, you have like done a lot of destructuring, decoding of a lot of things. For example, the immersive website you also decoded. So like whenever you see an animation, whenever you see something you want to make, what goes on into your mind? How do you destructure everything?
Okay, so the first mechanics is actually, I still consider this kind of a magic because it used to be something impossible for me, even though I learned a lot of stuff now and I can do some things in Canvas in 3D, but I still perceive it as something magical. And when I stumble on a website which does something that I don't know how do they do that, immediately this mechanics start to work, and I'm like, I need to know, I need to experience this feeling when I'm learning how to do these magical things. So when I start to look at some websites, usually it depends on the specific animations. I usually start by looking whether I can see the shader code. Also, one of the first things that I look at is the assets of the website, because you sometimes you just look at the assets and you actually find a video file and you thought it's magic, but it's just a video file which they used to create this magic, which is still magical because I believed in that one and I wanted to do the same, but it turned out just a very high quality video file. Anyway, so I look at the assets, at the shaders, and then if that doesn't show me the answer of how they did that, I then need to look into the actual obfuscated JavaScript. And well, then it gets tricky because you need to fire a debugger in the Chrome DevTools, maybe look at the particular lines, look at what is running at each frame of the animation. And it's from that point, it's kind of complicated. So usually 80% of the animations you can see right from the shaders or the assets.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you were right about the video asset thing. It happened with me a lot of times. Like I thought, okay, it's a cool shader, but it turns out it's just a video file. So
Yeah,
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 that
yeah.
happens a lot. Yeah. And there is one more thing that I think sets a developer apart is to have like taste, because right now I feel like anyone can easily learn 3JS, learn shaders, because compared to before, there are a lot of resources available now. But to just learn anything, I think that is different from creating something of your own, correct? I mean, to have your own taste. So what do you say to people, like how do you actually become a creative developer and not just like learn a lot of shaders?
For me, it was like I was putting some high standards on me, and I was well, I was trying to at some point I was trying to impress a girl that I liked, and I was trying to post something on the Instagram so she would like it, and those were pretty high standards because it's not like I do care about those likes, even though it sounds silly, maybe like desperate romantic, but still I cared about those likes, so I needed to impress her, and those that put some kind of standards, high standards for me. So I started as trying to replicate some nice visual things that I saw somewhere. Maybe it's a Pinterest, maybe it's something in real life that you've seen and which looks so nice and you want to replicate the same colors and the same texture in the animation. Or maybe it's some kind of abstract idea. Because I'm not sure all that I've done is looking that beautiful, but some of these things are just something that I had in my mind, and I was so inspired by that I needed to implement that. It turned out okay for some people, but for me it was magical. So maybe the answer is to do something that you think is magical to you, and at some point it will become beautiful. And also trying to replicate some beautiful things that you see around, like beautiful websites or beautiful images or just the art itself from someone else.
Yeah, I honestly love that answer, that you just need to make something magical to you and it will become beautiful later.
Yeah, yeah.
Because,
At least it will be beautiful to you, at least.
yeah, I mean, that's what matters anyway. And the thing that I think a lot of people are struggling right now is they are stuck in an copying loop. Like they see some beautiful website on awards, they see something beautiful, and then they keep trying to copy everything. But they then get stuck there because the new experiments are coming, they're always coming, and we just try to replicate them. But I feel like somewhere people need to stop copying and try to create their own taste. But it is a very absurd loop that people get stuck on, that a lot of new experiments are coming, so I need to now replicate all of them to understand all of them. So like how do you get out of that and have your own taste, your own element?
I think at some point it becomes just boring to replicate exactly what you're doing like in a lot of cases. I actually had some specific animations that I've seen somewhere and I was trying to replicate it, but in the middle of that I realized that either I can't achieve the exact look, or maybe it's too easy to achieve the exact look. So I'm more curious about some other idea that I had during this process, and I want to implement something maybe kind of similar but different from that. Oh, sorry about that. And this the change happens during the process actually for me, and I'm not sure I'm planning it. So my plan was to implement the specific animation, but eventually I did something completely different because I was inspired by some other ideas during the process. Also, I think there are some concepts how you can actually be creative. I mean, like the algorithm, how you can be creative, and
Hmm.
it usually comes down to merging the ideas. So if you have like two animations that you really like and you want to replicate both of them, maybe you can try to see how these ideas could be combined together, and that could be completely different, something completely different. It might even require some different tech stack or different algorithm to implement that. But the merge of different ideas is usually when the creativeness is happening, I think.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And even I think that somewhere around we need to stop and try to find a role element as well. Because again, I read that quote somewhere that all we are is a collection of people we have met. So I think that goes on to creativity as well. Like every idea we ever have is just a combination of everything we have ever seen. So there's that as well. So right now I think we can say there is a specific boom in this creative field. Of course 3GS has been there for a long time, but right now people are discovering it more, maybe because they have finally seen that there can be a career in this. And before it was all about software development and people needed to be in the big MNCs, but now people are shifting their ideas that okay, I can be in the creative field. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, I definitely love this this movement because more people doing something creative, and I definitely felt during the conversations with a lot of people who switched from, let's say, front end or back end into the 3D or creative coding, that a lot of people started to feel more inspired. I'm not even talking about the career or the money. The humans itself felt better while they did something that they can see and perceive and interact with, and they can even create some demos maybe for or games for their children or loved ones or something like that. So it definitely was inspiring to see people feeling better about that. I also love that it is kind of harder to automate this part because AI can do a lot of stuff for us now, but I mean, it can't be creative for us. It can't generate ideas that we like. I mean, it can generate ideas, but those ideas are not really connected to you. It's just some abstract ideas. And the AI can't make you passionate about something, but creative coding can. If you have some idea, if you have some visuals, or if you love to create something, then that's the definition of happiness, probably. Like you do something that makes you happy. So that's why I love it. I think I love this movement in general because not only it's specific to creative coding, but deep inside me, I think when you're going like more and deeper into this creative coding thing, it actually kind of requires a lot of skills from you, not only engineering, but knowing people, knowing perception of the humans, knowing some technical skills, some other technical skills, not only the front end development, knowing the art skills, because you have to make something beautiful and maybe merge some colors and do something like that. So I think it's a really good thing and could transform. I hope so, at least it could transform into some other valuable skills in this new AI era, because people who are creative coders, they are basically creative engineers. They can do some nice stuff for other humans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even I think about creative coding as more of making a movie. I mean, you're literally directing. You need to be good at cinematography. You need to have good taste. You need to make good decisions. And also, you need to cut down on how to remove the right things. Because just putting everything inside doesn't always work either.
Yeah.
So
So we're
yeah,
kind of entertainers of this new era. We are not actors, maybe we are not singers, but we create stuff that people have fun with, I guess, right? They play with some buttons then or some interactive animations.
yeah, it is an art style of its own, I would say. There's a different art style being a creative developer or a creative engineer.
Sure. And I think it's even more multi-dimensional than just painting some picture, because this is something that lives, something that interacts with.
Definitely. And also, I think that you need a strong foundation of maths or either physics for this. Correct. Because of course, shaders, right? But like, what do you say to people who like really want to be in this field, but somewhere lack? Maybe I do not have the right mind for this. Maybe my maths and physics isn't exactly that great. So, what do you say to them?
Well, I love to say that actually it's the other way around. It's not that creative coding requires math. It's, I think the creative coding is actually the best way to learn math, because you immediately see, if you don't know how the sine or cosine functions look like, you can just write a small function in shader or JavaScript and basically see it on your screen and interact with it. So I think it's one of the best ways to learn math. And I realize that for some people it's kind of scary because you need to learn math. But look at me, it was the same kind of scary for me to go into this canvas thing, because I was scared to death of shaders and stuff like that. But if you try and if you do the small steps, you can actually get there. So I would say people need to just try. Even if you don't understand some math concepts, trying in and playing with them is actually the best way to do that.
I totally agree. And like, of course, just if you're like scared of something doesn't mean that you cannot do it, right? I mean, if you love creating, of course you have to come out of some hurdles of out of it. But I think somewhere people are still scared about whether this thing has a future. Because, of course, AI is in the picture, and people are not sure if this can actually earn them something. So, what do you say? Like, what would the future of this thing be?
Like the set, as I said before, the set of skills required to do this seems to be useful in the long term. Like the way that you think about things, the way that you program something interactable by the other humans is, in my mind, at least in my brain, is kind of the same that you program any API or any product that people will be interacting with. Maybe it's not 3D, it might be just the iOS application or something more boring like the website, but it's still something that you program people how they interact with. And if you get this set of skills, you can easily switch. And from my experience, like I've been almost 20 years now in the front end development, there's no one thing that you learn and you spend your life doing that. This whole industry is changing every couple of years. So there's no way you learn something and then you spend 50 years doing that, like maybe our grandparents did with some skills. Nowadays, it takes a couple of years and everything is different. There was a CSS HTML, then it was React all over, maybe Angular all over, or maybe Vue.js all over. Now you might learn 3JS in a year, but in a couple of years, maybe there will be some other library like 4JS, or I don't know, 5JS, and you would need to learn that. So this, like I've been for so many years in this industry, and the only thing that I've learned is actually you need to keep learning every day. This is the only way that you stay in business. So I would say there's no way to be scared about that. You just try to make your bets in life. Like if you can earn some money and learn this stuff, just do that. In a year, you might need to learn something different, but who knows?
Yeah. But I think it's about following your passion, correct? I mean, if you actually love it, it's worth taking a risk over. When you started this, of course, the time was different. Of course, people weren't as into 3D as they are now. Correct. So I think the time has changed a lot. But if someone were to just start into this field for, say, freelancing and stuff, Do you think there is a scope for this? Because a lot of people are now coming into 3D and they are scared about freelancing, they are scared about whether they can actually meet the right people, or is it just another skill?
I would say with the new AI era, it's becoming just another skill. Like, of course, you can be just a professional in 3D, but I don't think it survives the freelance career. If you want to be successful freelancer, you need to know how to do the 3D, of course, but you need to also learn maybe how to set up a WordPress website, which is kind of simple nowadays. It's been 20 years now, or how to write a simple HTML, CSS, even with the help of AI, or how the hosting works, how you set up the websites. So you need to learn a lot of things still. And even though 3D is maybe in trend nowadays, you still need to know all the other stuff as well. So I would say you
Right.
need to learn everything that you can learn. You need to learn.
As many things there are as possible.
Yes, yes. You never know what's going to be your trick as a freelancer.
Correct. And what is your stance on AI? Like, do you use it? Do you like it, or do you prefer to just be your own thing?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely use it, and it started first with trying to write some separate functions or small autocomplete functions. But nowadays, I actually write some chunks of code with AI. But I have concerns like if I write the whole application with AI, I might lose my like mental connection, the ownership to the code that I write, and I stop caring about the quality of the code and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to do in my project usually is to have the architecture in my mind, and then I'm asking the AI step by step to implement the architecture that I have in my mind, or validate it. Maybe sometimes AI has a better idea of how to implement this architecture. I'm okay with being wrong if the advice is better. I don't know everything in the world, so yeah, I'm trying to have the mental model of the stuff that I'm doing in my mind still, even though it's kind of hard. And I'm asking AI only to be my hands to implement it, or my advisor sometimes, like my junior developer. Because I know sometimes you might just ask, "Hey AI, create me an application that does that," and I don't care about anything. But then I kind of you stop caring about that application, not only in terms of code, but also in terms of value to yourself. It's like you didn't put any effort into that. You didn't think a lot about it. Yeah, you have something created, but what does it mean to you?
True.
So this is
Like, you lose your personal touch with it, and it stops becoming something you created to express yourself. It's just another project. Correct.
yes, another prompt that you did. Yeah.
Right. And how long has it been since you have been in this front end field?
I think my first HTML CSS I wrote in 2003 or four. I started my blog on the WordPress actually, so it's more than 20 years. It's the blog is still online. It's mostly in Ukrainian or Russian because back in the day I used to speak those languages, and it's still available. There are hundreds or so of some tutorials or posts, mostly about CSS, HTML, or maybe my life at that moment. I just left it as an archive of my life from that period. So yeah, it's been a long time ago, but until 2018, so almost 10 15 years, I've been doing mostly just the front end development. No canvas, no 3D, no shaders.
And after that, you just jumped into it and just like forever made it your own.
Yeah, yeah, and just getting back to our topic about people being scared to do something, I just learned in my life that if you're scared to do something, probably the best idea is to do that. I don't mean dangerous things, of course. I mean the things that you're scared to do, to learn something, to go dancing, to ask the girl or something like that. If you're scared to do that, probably doing those things will give you the most energy if you actually do them. So that's why once I'm scared of something, and I was scared at the moment from Canvas, I actually decided to go into that.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely understand. It was the same for me because I was so scared because my maths and physics are really, I mean, it was really, really weak. And I was like, Okay, I need to do everything in mathematics. How can I do shaders? But yeah, I stuck to it, and I think things are working out right now.
Right. So now you got all those math concepts. You learned them during the creative coding.
Yeah, like as I was performing, as I was doing it, I understood, okay, I need to learn this concept now. And yeah, it has, I mean, I'm in my third year of college. Okay. And till now, I had not actually studied mathematics fully because I thought, why should I? And the moment I started 3D, you can see me doing calculations, you can see me performing hardest differentiations like my life dependent on it. It was a whole another thing.
Nice. Well, that's definitely sounds inspirational.
And like I have noticed, like in your works and in the demos you do, you go further from where someone would stop. For example, I find something and it is beautiful and I just leave it there. But if it was you would find the most tiniest of details, and then you would like go full throttle on that. Like, I need to fix this. You go further beyond any developer. What, like, why and what goes on in your mind then?
I'm not sure this is a good feature of me, but yeah, probably sometimes when I do mistakes, I'm too focused on that one and I forget about everything else, like a tunnel vision. Uh, why do I do that actually? I don't know. I never considered myself a perfectionist, but maybe I am in some cases. So when something is not right, I'm like, something has to be right. But actually, for these things that are not right, I have two things to tell. First, some of these things are actually my mistakes. Sometimes during the streams I made mistakes and I've spent a lot of time trying to fix them, and I felt really depressed after that. But actually, the thing that I learned that people who watched me actually praised me for doing those mistakes, because then they actually felt like, okay, he's a human, so he can do mistakes, and I can do mistakes. And actually, I felt the same when I watched some other streams of people who coded, and they coded everything perfectly, and then they made some stupid mistake, and I felt so good that they made this stupid mistakes, because I mean, I did it myself hundreds of times, of course, and now I feel more human or more connected to the person who did this mistake as well. So we shouldn't really feel bad about these mistakes, because everybody does that. And also, about something specific that I go full throttle in, because I did a lot of these streams. Sometimes what grabs my attention is something that the developers made differently in that particular animation, and this is what interests me the most, because like there are a lot of similar animations, but sometimes developer adds something like that, and I was, okay, this is so great. He combined this idea and that idea and got this, and I just, it grabs my attention when something special is happening, like this merge of creative ideas again.
Yeah, that is definitely something that is like extraordinary to you because you are kind of a perfectionist when it comes to things like this. And yeah, it definitely shows in your work. I mean, to achieve something like that without giving up, because a lot of people would just say, okay, you know what, the code works, do not touch the code. And then you just go far beyond that. And so, like, my next question is, when do you stop that? Like, when do you say, okay, you know what, I have spent far too much time on this and it looks good. Now I need to stop, even though I really want to work on this further.
Oh, I don't know actually where to start. In a lot of cases, when I do something for me, some animations or prepare for the streams, I want to post it on Instagram as well. And sometimes I get this pressure inside me that, okay, I haven't posted anything in like 2 days. I need to post something. And even though the animation doesn't seem perfect to me yet, I'm like, okay, I'll definitely need to post something already. So there's no way I will spend in weeks without posting it. So this tension with the Instagram posting actually keeps me out of constant perfectionism on this animation of the infinite edits. Maybe I also have something inside me which tells me, okay, if you spend 3 days and you still don't like it, maybe just post it and forget about it and create a new thing. Then don't waste time on the new on the same thing for so long.
Yeah, you definitely need to like stop at the right time, because then you would just worry about it over and over again. I mean,
Yeah,
you need to ship something and then perfect it, is what I believe. Like, you
yeah.
have
Sometimes you can post idea and then maybe come up with a new idea over this one. So you can then post two times, whatever that means. I don't really earn any money from Instagram. This is just for likes from my friends, but still, it kind of makes you a little bit more happier when people like what you post, right?
okay. So you have been on this field for around 20 years, I would say, correct? So, for just saying, if you were to start this right at this moment, like forget about the 20 years, if you were to start this right now, would you actually prefer creative coding again, or would you switch into a different career?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I'm thinking about the agriculture because because with the new AI era, that one seems to be still needed to the people instead of coding. But no, I still like the interactive coding. But maybe in creative coding, but maybe I wouldn't limit myself to the web based solution because I always dream to do something in the offline, like some projections on the buildings or some interactive installations and stuff like that. Maybe I would go more into that direction. They're kind of similar. It's just just a different medium that you're working with, not pixels, but maybe light or maybe physical objects. So maybe I would do something like that if I could start right away again.
Yeah, definitely. Like projection mapping has also been on trend lately. And also AR and VR are also making a boom, like augmented reality, VFX and stuff. So would you be open to that as well?
Yeah, probably not VR, I would say, but I like AR because this is like a projection into the real life, like real life augmented reality, where you add something to the actual real landscapes. That I always loved that part, and it's a pity it's not that developed still, so it's not that perfect, so you can merge both worlds even on the web-based software. So it requires a lot of things to do.
Definitely. And like, what do you wish you knew before you started your 3D part? Like, when back in 2000, I think 17, 18, when you actually started creative coding into the 3JS stuff, what do you wish you knew back then that you know now?
Okay, maybe I wish I knew that every person that I looked up at that point, like some people in Twitter or some famous developers who does a lot of super creative 3D things, that all of them are still trying to learn new stuff, and all of them still have some stuff that they still don't know. Because sometimes when you start, it almost seems like everybody knows everything and you are too late, but it's not like that. It's usually some people know just one part, some people know the other part, and everybody is scared that they don't know everything, and everybody is keep on learning new stuff. And I think it would make me feel safer, and I would learn in my own pace, and I would maybe feel better while I learned it, because when I started it was a little bit stressful. Like everybody knows how to do that except me.
Yeah, I get that feeling. I mean, a lot of people who are starting even now feel like people have already gone way too far and we are too late to start, something like that. And then they fear, and then they just don't start at all.
Yeah, true. But they have to realize that maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 years ago, people already tried to draw something with math. Maybe it wasn't that kind of 3D that we have right now, but it's been here for 60 years. Surely the medium and the tools changed, but people still try to do that now with the help of the AI, but they're still same set of skills, like understanding the math concepts, understanding how the interactivity works, and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And on that note, I want to ask you, what is the most random thing that inspired you ever in your life? Like, okay, you just like saw something, the most random thing, the most that you never thought would actually inspire you, and that became an entire project, or that became something that like actually motivated you?
Whoa. Well, I think it's probably a lot of such things have been, but to mention some specific one, okay, maybe it's the swifts. It's the birds flying in the sky. So I used to go to some concerts during the summer, and in my country we have these birds that are flying right on the sunset. They only fly on the sunset and on the sunrise, and they're kind of they're called swifts, and they fly in really smooth trajectories on the sky. And it always inspired me like how smooth they are moving, and I always wanted to see those trajectories being drawn on the sky. And I even at some point I created an animation with the GLSL and 3JS of some objects who move almost like those birds. And later on, actually, with the help of AI, I created the Python script to track those birds. And finally, I managed to actually draw trails of the birds in the sky, and it was a magical moment. But it all started just with me looking at the birds because I really loved how the way they fly on the sky.
Yeah, that was definitely something.
So it just came from the nature. It, like not even somebody else's example. I just loved how this looks.
Yeah, and I think right now a lot of people are scared to experiment with something new. They want to just stick to this successful formula, like something worked for someone else, of course it will work for me too. That's why I think a lot of people are not experimenting with something new. They are just like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to copy this and add something of my own and just be done with it, instead of like actually experimenting and going off the rails, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is what's coming up with your own style. Actually, I mean, probably like you start to copy, and then if you add the more of yourself that you add on top of those copies, it's the more of your actual style, the more of you coming out to the creativeness. So I think, well, you might be scared, you might just copy, and this is perfectly fine. Some people just copy, and it's just sometimes it just needed to copy because sometimes clients are directly asking you, we want the same animation. But then if you wanted to come up with something unique, obviously you need to add more experiments and experiment more with that.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think like the next generation of creative developers need to learn that you wish you had in your time? Like, what is that one form information?
I mean, not sure. I really wished I wished I knew there at that moment. Maybe I would name the empathy, because everything that we create are actually for humans and to make them feel better, and thinking more about how they interact with what you do actually, how much fun do they have, and how useful it is to them is actually kind of an important thing. And I would say this would be the most important advice to do.
Yeah, that I was not expecting, and that was really great. Okay, so I want to ask you: have you ever got that artist block? You know, when you just felt stuck and no inspiration is coming to you, and you don't want to do anything anymore. Like, what do you do after that? How do you get out of that?
Oh, I wish I knew. Like, of course, I felt that a lot of times, not only in creative coding, but also in front end development, you just feel uninspired, of feel burned out, and you don't want to do again HTML, CSS, or you don't want to do something new. You can think of new ideas, and usually you just have to let yourself not have any ideas. Don't push yourself for some time, and then
Hmm.
hope and pray that you will have them eventually. Usually that works out. I mean, if you pressure yourself, the more you pressure yourself, I think the harder it gets at those moments. So maybe you should give yourself a little love at that moment, appreciate what you can do, and maybe just do some humble things. Because sometimes I did something completely uncreative, like, okay, I don't have any ideas, but I saw somebody did this animation, so I'm gonna do this animation, but I'm going to change the physics and I'm going to change the colors. So maybe I add something else. So it's going to be a different thing. It's not particularly creative, but I did something. And those small steps then might actually get you creative in the end if you just don't push yourself to do creative, but just do something, at least something.
Yeah, like the small steps, because in the end,
Uh,
it's all about like having fun and expressing yourself, and you cannot force that part. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes people are scared of the big thing, but you actually need to do small things, and you can small things combined actually do the big thing. So if you feel if you feel the block, you don't have any ideas, you probably have some expectations on yourself. Like you should have a really nice idea, but what you need to do at that moment probably just do something very small and simple, and that might actually be the most creative thing that you do.
Yeah, definitely. And do you like you have seen the new generation of creator developers, the awards, correct?
Yeah.
A lot of people are pushing their works to awards. So, what do you think is their best advantage compared to someone who's actually known creative development for the past 20 years? I'm asking this because there has been a massive shift in a lot of things. You can include AI in that, you can include the mindset in that. What do you think the new generation has better?
Well, they can definitely skip all the boring parts that we used to do, because a lot of things in creative development, I think, were gated by the amount of code that you have to make right. Like maybe some math algorithms that you need to com- completely write from your head or from some paper. And nowadays, AI basically can write all this math for you. It might not be perfect, but it will be working, and you just need to tweak it. So definitely in this new era, people have it a lot easier than before. So now you can focus on the ideas and combining ideas, and you might not care about the boring parts of the code, the architecture, the setup, just the general idea to have in mind. But this is also a disadvantage for them, because they might never learn what those ideas could be. Like they only learn them visually, not from the code. But you never know. I think this is the main advantage, the AI, and that a lot of examples and demos already made. So in a lot of cases, you just tell the AI to combine this demo with this demo, and you get what you need actually.
Yeah, yeah, that has worked for a lot of us. And like I think it has become easy to start things now. As I said, I was like really scared of mathematics and physics, and I could not have imagined to be in shaders. But because of AI, I think the gateway has become easier. It is easier to start things now, and of course, after you fell in love with it, you can actually pursue it as a passion.
Yeah, true. AI actually making it easier, not only in coding, I think, but also in some real life problems. Like you might sometimes you needed a guy or a friend who can answer your questions about something, but now you can just ask AI. And same for the 3JS development. If you don't have a mentor, you don't really need a mentor these days. I think you can just ask AI how to implement this and how would you implement this thing, and AI can actually teach you most of the complicated things. Not maybe the cutting, super cutting edge, but most of the things just can learn from AI.
Yeah, definitely. And where do you think like what we cannot learn from AI? Like, of course, it is the taste part. But what else do you think that AI can never do in this creative field?
Yeah, I don't think it refers only to creative field. It refers to everything. I think AI has no like willpower. It doesn't want anything. Want
Hmm.
is only the human part. So we need to have this ability to wish for something. And right now, if you wish something, you can just ask AI and it creates something for you. But you need to have a great picture of something to wish for, not just a generic, okay, create me a nice website. You need to have this picture now in your mind that you not only nice website, but website that uses that idea and something from that. So this is the main difference, I think, is I would call it a willpower. Maybe there are some other names for this concept as well. It's the ability to actually struggle for some things to be created. Because even if you ask AI to do something, it will not do it from the first try. And you might need 10 prompts, maybe 100 prompts. And this amount of effort that you put, I would call this your willpower is making a difference, because two of the same developers might achieve completely different results with the same AI, depending on how much one of the developers wanted to be a quality result. And this is not about
Yeah,
AI, but about humans.
yeah, definitely. Surprisingly enough, that was my next question. Like,
Okay.
like, of course, two people can learn the same things, but their output will be extraordinarily different. Now, it depends on a lot of factors, but that also sets a creative developer apart from the rest. Correct, because they have their own taste, they have their own values. Correct.
Yep. And the more you know, the more quality output you can get from the AI. So if you know a lot of things, at least the name of the library. You might even don't really know what exactly this library does, but you know that this library solves this particular problem. And if you know that, you can advise it to AI, and you might solve this problem in a shorter time with the same AI. And this is just a simple idea, just knowing the name of the library. But of course, it extends to knowing the concepts in the code and architecture in the code. So the more you know, the better AI developer you are.
That is true. Because I think a lot of people do not get it when people say, okay, 3D websites can be made with AI. Is that somewhere a skilled developer can make 3D websites with AI, but someone who's just starting cannot? And I think the difference is the knowledge. Because a creative developer, for example, someone like you, can make something without AI. AI is just enhancing the time, it's just making it more efficient. But for example, you did not actually know anything about it, so you cannot produce the same results. I think people are really lacking that realization.
Yeah, probably. And also AI is becoming better and better. So sometimes it might not even apply. So even sometimes the person might randomly prompt it and it actually can create something. But on the average, with a lot of projects, I think it's working better when you actually know what you're doing. If you can create it yourself, you can create it with the AI much faster and with a better quality than just randomly prompting it and asking it to fix.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And okay, so in this era, what do you think has something that has become harder for the new generation? Not easier, harder.
Well, I think learning is harder now because even though it's much easier, there's a lot of videos, a lot of infinite content, and you have AI which can just basically explain you anything with any language and any words. I think when you have so many options, it's actually harder to use them. So when the options were scarce, you would need to put some effort into getting them and you would value the knowledge much more. So when the knowledge is just all around you, the value of the knowledge is much lower. So to learn something is, I think, harder now than before, because you would need to put some value, you would need to spend some time with this. Hopefully some people will still do that, but from my experience, a lot less people started to learn the stuff when it become more available, actually, which is a paradox, but I guess it's like it is.
Yeah, I mean, people have started creative development right now because it has become a lot easier to access because, again, AI is there. Correct. And I think this boom in creative development can be huge, like even greater than it is right now, because now people are finding this as art, as a think of an art form. Correct. Not just something you can just do a business on. So I think it can go in various ways in the future.
Yeah, hopefully. I already told you about that. Those set of skills might be actually useful in some other industries as well. So hopefully we'll be useful as a creative coders in a couple of years as well, even when the AI becomes so much better and has some taste as well. But we still will be needed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think so. AI can replace taste just now, like not right now. I mean, it is basically prompt, right? It will generate what we will tell it to generate. So I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so. Yeah.
And there's also this the feedback loop, the empathy for the people, because even when you can generate something, you can then get the feedback from the person, and this feedback could be purely emotional or something like that. And I don't think AI can handle this kind of loop between the emotional feedback with the client and stuff like that. So there's a person needed in this loop to understand what is actually needed and how to succeed in this project.
Yeah, definitely. I started Blender, I realized that okay, I do not actually need to learn everything about it. It was a very late realization, honestly, because it all depends on your needs, correct? For example, I just want to be a developer, so I don't need a lot of VFX of Blender. I don't need a lot of features of it. So I think people also need to understand the prerequisite. Like, okay, you need Blender, but you don't need 100% of it, right?
Yeah, that's true. I would say this is one of the things. Now I remember that one of the things that I would recommend myself to do at the start of my 3D career or creative coding career is actually to learn Blender right away, because it would be so much useful when you can do a lot of stuff yourself. Because well, once you're dependent on some 3D modeler or some other professional, it's fine. They can do their job even better than you can do in Blender. But there are a lot of tasks, like 80% of the tasks are actually pretty simple tasks that you would be able to do yourself with the model, like bake the lightning or maybe change the colors or something like that, apply the texture. And I wish I would start learning Blender immediately after I started with the 3D. It was too overwhelming, I think, at the moment, but I still wish I spent more time with Blender at that moment.
Yeah, definitely. I had the same feeling when I started it because yeah, you can like get free assets right now, but they just don't have that right vibe, I think, like the one I want to express. So yeah, I think that Blender is a must right now.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
okay, what I want to ask, what is a good design according to you? Like when you see a website, what goes through your mind? Okay, you know what? This looks good and this is a good design, but I would prefer to not have this specific element in it so it can be better. So, what do you think is moves you? What do you think moves you?
I think what moves me is maybe a thousand of other beautiful websites that I've seen before. Like I've seen how beautiful ones look like, and I when I see something missing or something that is not needed in this particular place, I get this feeling out of the experience of the other website that I know, okay, without this thing, it will be much better. Or maybe if they added this animation here, it would look so much better. So I think this is just experience from all the other websites.
Like you just need to soak in a lot of good inspiration, soak in a lot of good things, and then eventually you will get the right taste.
Definitely, and I really love how you phrase that. You need to soak all the beautiful things, as many beautiful things as possible. You just need to look at the images, at the pictures, at the animations. And the more you see beauty, the more you know how to create it.
Yeah. And I think beauty in itself is very unconventional. Like sometimes it may not come from a beautiful website. Sometimes it will just be like you are out in the rain and the sound will affect you. And then you want to create something beautiful out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe even the smell of something can inspire you, or the rain, or anything. Actually, yeah, it's all about the ideas in your head, and this is pretty random.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all in for random ideas.
And also, trying new things is also a good idea, for sure. I think I had a lot of random ideas, and just one I remembered. The once client asked me to create he sent me the part of the trailer from the Transformers movie, where one of the Transformers was transforming into the plane or something, and he asked me to create this same animation, but for the ship, like the animal on the website. There was a 3D model of the ship, and he asked that ship will transform into actually the same ship, but on the other part of the website, as the Transformer did in Transformers movie. So it was such a random thing to me, but yeah.
Okay, so if you were to like accumulate all the knowledge that you have put in the past 20 years, what would you say to the next generation of creative developers?
Uh, oh,
This
this
is
is
a
a hard
hard
one.
question, I know.
I mean, I actually like one quote of the of one famous person. She was the pilot of the planes, Amelia Earhart, I believe was her name, and she said this quote with it that I really like is that the most effective way to do it is to do it. So there's no special thing, not no magic. You just need to sit down and do this stuff. So if you want to be a creative coder, well, you sit down and you start doing creative coding, and eventually, after mistakes and some maybe a little struggle and learning, you become a creative coder. And I think this would be the quintessential of my knowledge is that there's no magical thing. You just need to do it. So the most effective way to do it is to do it.
Oh, okay. That was mm, actually way more inspirational than I thought because that just struck to me. Okay, so I have just like one person into this meeting. He's Swaraj, the one who's also in this creative channel. So let me just add him, and he's here.
Right.
Hello, hello, sir.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming to our beautiful channel. So, I hope
No,
you have been a fun time.
yeah, it was fun. Thank you for inviting me. I
Uh,
love talking about 3GS and stuff, so always
uh,
happy.
so, I have to meet you. That's why I'm here. You have been an inspiration for a lot of people. Not me, not her, but a lot of people. It's been like I think every creative developer in his lifetime has studied from you.
That is very
Oh,
true. That
That
is
is
very
true.
true.
That is true.
Honestly.
oh,
Every
thank
creative
you.
developer.
This makes me more happy. Now I need to stream every week again. Damn.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we are
Uh,
waiting for that.
so only one question. Like
Sure.
you are an amazing teacher, and we both are going on the same way. Like we are following the path. What advice you will give us? Because the student now the students have a lot of resources, like they have AI, then they have more resources than your student had. So what advice you will give to us right now?
Right. Actually, go and try to create and try to learn while you're creating. I think this would be the best way. So
This
skip
thing,
the learning, skip the tutorials. You might make a lot of mistakes, of course. You might not succeed, but then if you make mistake, you actually might learn on those mistakes. And I think this is the best way when there's so much knowledge. So you only need the knowledge that you need, not every
Indian
knowledge.
student don't like Indian student don't think like this. They like, we need all the resources, then we will create.
Yeah. People usually scared to start anything like I need to prepare for everything. Until I prepared, I can't start. I don't know, you can't travel until you packed everything that you need. But you can actually travel. You might maybe buy some stuff on the way and things like that. So you shouldn't be scared of actually started doing something before you learned everything.
uh,
Yeah, actually, you know what? That just reminded me of a meme. A lot of people are like way too perfect on their beginnings. Like, okay, I'm going to do 100 things, then I'm going to start this. But I feel like the creative developers are like, you know what? I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to start, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. That pilot was sitting in the aircraft and he was reading how to drive a plane. I think we have that kind of feeling. You know what? I'm just going to start. Let it
Yeah, yeah,
happen.
yeah. Yeah. Because you don't have passengers on your plane basically. It's only you, nothing bad can happen. You might create something ugly, but then I mean you'll make it beautiful later.
you can improve it. You can improve it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So that's the thing. Thank you for coming to our channel. It will help a lot of people. I hope Apurva has taken a lot of good
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, she did. It was a fun conversation, and thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it was my pleasure, definitely.
You're always welcomed. Even if in future you ever feel like you're always welcomed.
Well, I hope someday I would take this. I would take your words, and I will just come traveling by India, so you would buy me something like a coffee or something like that.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
Yes.
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 All right,
Yes. Confirm.
all right. I'll take your
Yes,
word.
Thank you so
definitely.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
You know, the moment you will actually announce that you're coming to India, you have no idea how many people are dying for it. You actually have no
Really?
idea.
Now, right
Yes.
now, we will announce in our Instagram that we have interviewed you. Then we will see a lot of people will.
Yes. Yes. You have
Oh,
no
hopefully.
idea.
Well, then
You have
I need to come.
you have a very big fan base. You don't know.
Really, I actually don't know that because I thought nobody is watching because I haven't been streaming for a couple of months now. All right. Well, then I'll need to come definitely. Send me the directions.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, I'm counting on your words that you will come.
No problem with that. I've
Okay,
never
so
been to India, so I still need to like put a check mark. Like I've been to India, but I've never been. So, and I have a
yeah.
nickname which is coming from your country basically for 20
Yes,
years.
yes, you
So
do.
I'm almost native, like half native.
Yes, your Instagram name is Akila.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In whole world, your if there is any creative developer, he know you.
Yes. You can like if someone knows even a little bit about creative coding, like someone is just starting, he knows you. He definitely knows you.
I never realized that, to be honest. Like I thought there's like Bruno Simon. He is the famous part. But well, let's see. I will be in Paris. You're not going to Paris like
No,
in September, no?
unfortunately enough,
Not
no.
because I guess a lot of people from the whole creative community and 3GS
Yes, yes.
community will be there,
He's
and I
coming.
hope because most of them I never really met in real life, and I think most of them never really met each other in real life. So it would be a really fun place to see people how they are looking, not on the avatars but real.
That is going to be quite an experience, and God, I wish I
Yeah,
could.
yeah. Hope I will be. I'll try to maybe post more in Twitter or something because this is like huge event. This is the first 3GS
First
strictly
reaches.
3GS event. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So I hope you really enjoyed the conference and sorry, the podcast and it wasn't so boring.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. Thank you. You were a fun interviewer. It was really easy and light going.
Okay, so we will meet again very soon and even in
Sure,
India very soon.
sure, sure. Hopefully,
Yes,
you'll need to send me those stories about the dancing you mentioned. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to send you a lot of things because I cannot wait.
All right, all right. That's the deal.
Okay, ठीक है. And thank you for coming here. It means a
Yeah.
lot to us, a lot. You have no idea. I'm telling you this.
Well, I'm happy to be that person that means a lot. I'm always open to all the kinds of conversation. I hope I was fun to you too.
It was yes, it was incredible.
Perfect.
If you have anything to say to like end this,
Last word.
Oh, I don't know. There were so many last words already in this interview. Like the last thing you said, well, like thing, and this is another last thing. I mean, since the war started, I usually ended my streams with the words that you should, if you love someone, if you care about someone, don't forget to tell them about that. And I think this is somehow this has become an important thing for me to mention that to people because sometimes people care about each other but don't tell that and don't feel that.
Mhm.
So I wish everybody who watched this stream don't forget. Maybe you can tell your parents that you love them actually, or maybe your sister, brother, or son, daughter, anyone. So let it be the ending words for this interview.
That was actually quite something. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming here, and just thank you overall.
Yeah, thank you too. Thank you for having me.